Hello my friends, in today's video we will take a look at Panasonic Lumix S 24mm f1.8. This lens is a part of the collection of lenses that I internally call Panasonic's L-mount essentials. 24mm is in my opinion a great focal length, and I think that a solid 24mm prime is a very important part of every system. In this review, we will take a look at the optical qualities and features of Panasonic's 24mm f1.8 in combination with the S5 II. 24mm is an interesting focal length. It is not ultra-wide, but it is still wide enough for landscapes, interiors, architecture, and so on. It is probably the widest focal length that I would still consider for all-round use. It doesn't put that much emphasis on the subject, but at the same time, you don't have to pay that much attention to the foreground in comparison to ultra-wide lenses. f1.8 aperture offers notable subject separation even at 24mm, and it makes it very suitable for low-light shooting. 24mm Lumix S is 8.2 cm long and it weighs 310 grams. That makes it pretty small by 24 1.8 standards. It is definitely a compact and very travel-friendly lens. Panasonic is also very proud about the fact that all of the lenses in their f1.8 collection are the same size and roughly the same weight. That is great for gimbal use and video rigs. Mounted on the S5 II, it is very well balanced as expected. The build quality is very solid, much like with other Lumix S lenses. The outer part is made of plastics, but the quality of the materials is above average or maybe even premium. It is weather sealed with a proper weather sealing gasket around the mount. The mount itself is metal, of course. 24mm Lumix S uses a standard 67mm filter thread. This is a very popular diameter, so chances are that you already have some 67mm filters. It is also the same diameter that you will find on all other lenses from the Prime collection. A high-quality lens hood is included in the box. The size is adequate for a 24mm lens, and I appreciate that it has a proper release button. Regarding the control elements, there is the focusing ring and AF/MF switch. The focusing ring is extremely smooth, as expected from a focus-by-wire system, and it has a very reasonable amount of resistance. The focusing ring is wide enough and it offers a very good grip. On Lumix S cameras, you can choose between linear and non-linear focusing and adjust the angle, which is something that I appreciate a lot. Repeated focus pulls are not an issue at all. There is also an AF/MF switch on the left side, which is nice to see, despite that there is one on all Lumix S cameras. So how about the optical qualities? I have tested this lens with a 24MP sensor in Panasonic S5 IIX. As you might know, 24MP full-frame sensors have very low pixel density, so matching this kind of resolution should be a pretty easy job for 24mm f1.8. The sharpness and the contrast is somewhat unsurprisingly maximal right from f1.8. This is basically as much detail as you can get with a 24MP sensor on this scene. The only imperfection is the chromatic aberration, which is often the case with very sharp wide-angle lenses. It is a bit of a specific case here because it is visible, but it is kind of isolated to the areas with very high contrast, so it is not that distracting. The sharpness and the contrast is basically the same from f1.8 to f8. The only thing that changes is the amount of chromatic aberration, which slowly decreases, but it is still a little bit visible even at f8. The diffraction is clearly visible at f11, but even f11 offers very good image quality. The image quality in the corners is also quite solid right from f1.8. The amount of detail is pretty good. The image quality is once again consistent from f1.8 to f8. The chromatic aberration is visible, but it is probably less noticeable than in the center of the frame. The contrast is probably affected by the profile corrections, but we will get to that in a second. This time I don't really see any diffraction in the corners at f11. Overall, I am very happy with the optical qualities of 24mm Lumix. Much like other Panasonic lenses from the series, it gets the job done and it takes very nice pictures and videos in combination with the S5 II. It also works very well with the S5 II colors. Overall, it produces very nice output, so there is not much more to say there. The amount of distortion is pretty high. There is a lot of barrel distortion. Of course, it is completely fixed by the in-camera corrections or by Lightroom profile corrections. It seems that the profile corrections may have some negative effects on the image quality in the corners, but those are not that obvious with a 24 megapixel sensor. There is also some amount of vignetting at f1.8 and f2, which is visible after the corrections, so you might want to correct that manually. f2.8 and higher is fine. The minimum focus distance is 24 cm, which translates to 0.15 times magnification. That is on par with similar 24mm lenses. The resolution at the minimum focus distance is solid right from f1.8, but you will probably want to stop down a little bit to avoid the chromatic aberration. Overall, it is a pretty solid lens for close-up work. At f1.8, you can achieve decent subject separation even at 24mm focal length. It has 9 aperture blades and the bokeh is quite pleasant. The transitions between areas in focus and out of focus are reasonably smooth as well. I can say that I am happy with the bokeh. I've tested the autofocus with the new firmware in the S5 IIX and I can say that it is excellent. In the stills mode it is very fast and responsive, there is no hunting and it is 100% accurate. It works just as well in video. It is very accurate and there is no hunting whatsoever. It worked great in all of my usual tests, including backlit subjects and low light. The speed and the responsiveness can be adjusted in the camera menu. The focusing mode is completely silent, much like with other Lumix S lenses that I've tested. Overall, the focusing system is great in combination with the S5 II and S5 IIX. The amount of focus breathing is impressively low. There is some, but it definitely won't ruin your shots, and this is a 24mm lens, so it probably won't be used for focus pulling that often. 24mm 1.8 is not stabilized, but the S5 II in-body image stabilization is very effective at this kind of focal length. Static shots and pointing the camera around is very stable. The in-body image stabilization in the S5 II is also really well optimized for walking. You can actually get usable walking footage at 24mm with the S5 II IBIS, which is extremely impressive. This combination is also pretty much perfect for gimbal use. The in-body image stabilization in the S5 II pretty much makes everybody a ninja walking expert. To sum up, Lumix S 24mm F1.8 is another very solid prime from Panasonic's L-mount collection. The overall quality is very consistent amongst Panasonic's F1.8 primes and the 24mm matches those standards. Optical qualities are more than good enough for a 24 megapixel sensor. The bokeh is very nice and the optical character is quite neutral. The autofocus works really well in combination with the S5 II. The build quality is completely fine as well. It relies a lot on profile corrections, but I don't necessarily mind that. It may affect the image quality in the corners a little bit, but I don't think that it is that big of a deal. Also worth mentioning is a very low amount of focus breathing. Overall, it is a very solid 24mm f1.8, which means that I can recommend it to L-mount users. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you have found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.